Okay, good morning or good evening, depending on where you're watching this thing from. So this is the master final thesis presentation from Jun Park. Jun, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone. My name is Jun, and today I'll be presenting my capstone. So at its core, the project addresses a fundamental question in market microstructure, which is, can a retail investor operating exclusively with consumer-grade hardware and open source software systematically identify and trade alongside the footprints left behind by institutional block orders? To understand why this is a meaningful problem, we must appreciate the structural relationship between institutional and retail participants. Institutional firms dominate traditional asset classes because of their advanced execution infrastructure, operating co-located servers and high-speed data pipelines. Crucially, their fiduciary obligations require them to achieve best execution, meaning that large block orders must be fragmented and distributed across the trading day to minimize price impact. Consequentially, institutional execution is structurally constrained and non-random, and in a transparent market like cryptocurrency, where public data and open APIs create unprecedented visibility, this institutional footprint can be observed, modeled, and systematically traded around. The relative infancy of institutional crypto participation means these microstructural patterns are not yet heavily arbitraged away. However, decentralization introduces three distinct technical barriers that prevent retail traders from realizing this opportunity. First is signal noise, where intense speculation produces nonlinear volatility that overwhelms simple strategies. Second is consistency, as formatting and liquidity differences across isolated exchanges order books can invalidate cross-venue backtests. And third is execution slippage, where ignoring network latency and tiered fee schedules destroys theoretical returns. To solve these barriers, I developed a modular three-stage pipeline, a data engineering layer to clean and standardize historical data, an analytical machine learning framework to classify market regimes, and a live execution application featuring realistic transaction cost accounting. These will leverage two key institutional benchmarks, which are the volume weighted average price, or VWAP, and volume profile, which I'll go into. So each stage of the pipeline corresponds to one of the four research questions, as shown, while the project scope deliberately imposes strict boundaries to adhere to the retail focus of the project. The scope is limited to cryptocurrency markets, a 5-year window from 2021 to 2026, which aligns with both the advancement of the cryptocurrency market as well as the entry of institutional traders. And it deliberately excludes opaque deep learning approaches where the output can't be justified in terms of underlying market logic. The supervisor, Matt Lube, also defined three quantitative targets for the strategy itself, being at least 100 trades per year, at least 20% net annualized return, and a maximum equity drawdown of 10%. So the first major artifact is the data engineering pipeline. Quantitative finance suffers heavily from dirty data, which includes ghost quotes and misaligned timestamps. And in crypto, this is compounded by the absence of central clearinghouses and the prevalence of wash trading. Now, if left unclean, this contamination heavily distorts volume-dependent metrics like the VWAP and volume profile. So the pipeline processes data from regulated aggregators, which provide pre-format baselines, as well as raw exchange archives. Standardizing to minute level or M1 format balances the critical design trade-off between granularity and scalability. So 5 years of tick level history, though more precise, for a single venue, it exceeds 40 gigabytes, which is far too computationally prohibitive for a retail setup. Academic literature also confirms that minute level compression retains sufficient microstructure fidelity for strategy development at this scale. Now, while our aggregated data was straightforward to obtain through the export functions, historical data from Binance and other exchange archives required a bespoke solution. This custom Python web scraping application represents the most significant engineering artifact of this first phase. So Binance archives historical data as thousands of compressed daily zip files. And to automate ingestion safely on consumer hardware, the scraper generates target URLs programmatically based on asset parameters and dates. It streams each archive using chunked HTTP streaming via the request library to retrieve files sequentially without overloading local RAM. A conditional gate then checks for files already present on disk, which allows the pipeline to resume seamlessly after, say, a network outage without data duplication. And then crucially, a rolling memory loop extracts the CSV and purges the source archive immediately, which keeps the storage footprint perfectly manageable across 160 gigabytes of raw data. The consistency stage resolved formatting divergences between sources, primarily timestamp formats and time zone differences. Everything was re-indexed to a UTC +23 baseline, which matches the MetaTrader 5 platform and also aligns with New York financial market hours. This alignment is critical for our institutional execution focus because major institutional desks operate on Wall Street hours. And so our rolling indicators have to reset exactly when those institutions open their daily books to prevent false signals. The validity stage then enforces strict pricing logic across every row using historic open, high, lows, close price relationships. Each minimum bars are validated to ensure that the low was less than or equal to the open and close, and same as the high, but for the opposite effect. Now, minor variations within a 0.1% tolerance were auto-corrected just as rounding errors, but severe violations beyond that were removed and then forward filled with zero volume. This preserved time series continuity without introducing artificial momentum into the data, which is why spline interpolation and raw row deletion were explicitly rejected. The pipeline performed strongly across all 5 years of data. So both QDM and Binance sources achieved near complete extraction with the partial 2026 figures, just being that the annual data cycle isn't done yet this year. Price boundary violations were minimal, so just 0.06% of timestamps on average, with around 82% of those falling within that auto correction threshold. And then also crucially, the day level quality filter only removed an average of 2 days per 5 years for each data set, which indicates that genuine corrupt data was pretty rare. And so what this gives us ultimately is a set of high integrity cross-source data sets that accurately reflect the structural behavior of the market. So stage 2 covers strategy formulation, which is grounded in the theoretical claim that institutional reliance on specific execution benchmarks creates observable price dynamics. So that first anchor, like I said, was the VWAP. Institutional algorithms are judged directly against that metric to determine if an execution desk achieved a good price for a client block order. Therefore, when the spot price aggressively deviates from this mean, it signals an imbalance between immediate retail order flow and institutional consensus, creating almost like a mean reverting rubber band effect. The second anchor is the horizontal volume profile, or specifically the point of control, or POC. Now that marks the exact price level with the highest volume density within a rolling session. And for an institutional project, it represents maximum liquidity, or where larger chunks of the block order can be absorbed better. By tracking real-time deviations in the VWAP using a rolling Z-score alongside the distance to the point of control, the system can dynamically classify the market into a market reversion, a trend continuation phase. Because cryptocurrency markets are non-stationary, static indicators are insufficient for long-term deployment. So to enable dynamic model adaptation, 5 structural features were engineered following strict collinearity screening. They are as shown there. These features feed into a gradient boosted XGBoost classifier. The learning rate and tree depth were deliberately constrained to reduce overfitting risk from speculative noise. As shown at the bottom of the slide, the direct output of this machine learning layer is a dynamic regime probability log. Rather than outputting a simple binary trade command, the model will generate statistical confidence scores for each market state, which allows the downstream execution layer to manage entity or entry rules dynamically. Python vectorized backtests model execution as instant matrix operations. So while they're quick, they can't replicate the concurrent asynchronous processes of real trading, which distorts how execution slippage is represented. So to ensure real-world viability, I built an integration with MetaTrader 5, which is a platform, running native object-oriented MQL5 code. So utilizing MT5 provides massive structural benefits for this project. So unlike standard backtesters, it features a highly advanced multi-threaded strategy tester, which allows us to simulate tick-level data with native spread fluctuations. It natively supports realistic order routing types, such as market orders, limit orders, and also manages account margin and equity drawdown paths. Now, the production pipeline operates through an optimized file bridge. So Python runs the heavy statistical classification efficiently and then exports those regime probability logs, which is then fed into the MQL5 engine, which then does its own optimization. On that, so final calibration of the execution parameters is handled through MT5's genetic optimization engine. Variables like partial profit take thresholds are highly path dependent, so small adjustments cascade in non-linear ways. And now, while Bayesian optimization can get trapped in those local optima on the non-smooth surfaces, genetic algorithms maintain a diverse population of candidate parameters and then apply things like crossover and mutation to discover some more robust operational plateaus. To guard against backtest overfitting, the project implements walk-forward validation, a 24-month rolling training window followed immediately by an independent 6-month out-of-sample test, repeated across 10 cycles. Additionally, randomized execution delays of up to 1 second were injected at every backtest cycle to disqualify any parameter configurations that cannot survive realistic latency drag, with the final parameters being shown on the slide there. So against those strict constraints, the final out-of-sample performance metrics heavily outperformed some of the benchmarks I talked about. So starting from a baseline of $10,000, the strategy completed 5,343 trades over the evaluation window, generating a cumulative return of 785.7% or an annualized return of 54.7%. Capital preservation was also maintained with a maximum equity drawdown of 8.12%. And then also importantly, while the MT5 reports a 91%-ish win rate, it's because it treats partial profit takes as independent winning trades. So really the true win rate, which is still highly robust, is 67.2%. Now, the temporal breakdown of trade activity offers some pretty strong empirical validation of our core hypothesis. So trade entries clustered most heavily between 16 and 18 or 4 p.m. and 18 p.m. UTC, which corresponds precisely to the final hours of the New York trading session, which is the exact window where global institutional desks actively restructure their inventory and unwind structural positions before the day closes. Conversely, algorithmic activity sharply decelerates during weekends. Because these markets are 24/7, this collapse is driven entirely by the absence of institutional desk participation on Saturdays and Sundays. When institutional volume disappears, our volume-weighted signals lose their reliability, and the model correctly chooses to remain on the sidelines. Now, none of this was pre-programmed. It's sort of just an emergent property of training over 5 years, and talks to the robustness of that walk-forward validation process. So now the third major artifact is the live execution application, which addresses the execution gap or the difference between a strategy's theoretical profitability and its realized net returns after transaction friction. Now, this is a crucial step in extending the project from pure hypothesis to a practical deployment pipeline. So focus on the transaction cost analysis. Retail trading strategies frequently fail in production due to a naive treatment of execution fees. And in live markets, transaction costs are a highly dynamic composite of variable spreads and order book depth consumption and different commission fees. So to account for this, I engineered a pipeline which automatically extracts raw trade logs from MT5 and then computes the notional exposure of each trade, and then cross-references that against exchange fee matrices to deduct commissions directly from gross equity. And then ultimately what that does is it provides a better view of the robustness of a trade, and it eliminates trades that artificially prop up gross profit, but in reality wouldn't be profitable at all. So now one of the more important things was I created a real-time dashboard which provides signals. So I want to focus extensively on this layout because it sort of explicitly bridges the gap between theoretical data science and active production monitoring on a standard consumer machine. So this application establishes a continuous 5-second polling loop with the live Binance REST API. And in every single loop, it downloads the latest market data, appends it to the active historical array, calculates the different mathematical features related to the strategy, and then generates signals as well as keeps a trade log of hypothetical trades that would be made. So then it's the graphical interface itself is divided into specific analytical zones. The primary panel shows candlesticks with prices as well as different metrics. Below the chart, there's secondary panes that display live order flow and delta ratio histograms. The right-hand panel, which I will show you here. So this is some of the application at work. So the right-hand panel shows an automated condition checklist. This engine displays exactly which microstructural entry parameters are satisfied in real time, showing whether the current z-score or ADX or volumetrics have crossed the strict thresholds that we created through genetic optimization. So this removes all subjectivity from production tracking and exposes the exact logic behind the classification signal. Furthermore, the embedded live trade log records each execution with granular post-trade metrics, such as the maximum favorable and maximum adverse excursion, which allows traders to perform real-time slippage analysis. So during an initial live trade paper trading session, the dashboard recorded a sample size of 13 completed trades just over a day. So obviously that's not anywhere near enough to be statistically significant, but I thought it would still be worth discussing. So an 84.6% win rate is still pretty similar to what we saw from MT5 or the historical backtest. And then the live drawdown of 1.95%, which again, obviously exaggerated because of the minimal sample space, is still promising. Realistically, though these results are promising, you probably need about months or at least 1 month of consistent trading to sort of get enough insights out of this. So stepping back, what does this project actually demonstrate? Empirically, it provides evidence that the VWAP and volume profile anomalies produce reliably exploitable structural patterns in cryptocurrency markets. Practically, it directly challenges the assumption that institutional quality analysis requires institutional infrastructure. The entire pipeline runs in consumer hardware using open source tools and zero software cost. And theoretically, this project supports the position that while crypto retains high retail-led volatility, the institutional footprint is already sufficiently established to be modeled, and the coexistence of these two participant types is itself the source of exploitable market inefficiency. So in conclusion, an honest assessment of our architectural limitations outlines a clear path for future development. On the data side, our M1 resolution smooths out sub-minute microstructure patterns, requiring the VWAP to be approximated. Strategy-wise, the XG Boost model experiences slight classification lag during regime transitions. And then on the execution side, our 5-second rest polling interval is vulnerable during high volatility flash crashes. So to advance this framework, the future roadmap focuses on migrating to event-driven WebSockets or tick-by-tick ingestion, or utilizing a high-performance gRPC interface to minimize latency. But it's important to note that these recommendations would veer away from the core retail scope of the project. So ultimately, the framework successfully achieved historically 54.7% annualized return and an 8.12% maximum drawdown, being design targets, and hopefully validates our central thesis, which is that institutional execution patterns are real, detectable, and fully exploitable within a retail accessible quantitative framework. Thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions from you both.